Okay, so we're going to do a morning restorative class. So this is really nice. It's a little treat. So morning restorative, I think, is really nice because it's just a good way to start the day. I think it's really gentle, it's very relaxing, and you'll feel really, really good. So let's just start off with a brief basic relaxation pose. So have a bolster for your knees, have a couple of blocks for your feet, and have a folded blanket for your head. And then just guide yourself down onto the floor and just have a little wriggle about until you feel comfortable. So this practice, this restorative practice, is really good if you've got a specific injury. So my back's still a little bit sore, so restorative yoga is a really good way of releasing that, because restorative yoga is about relaxation and actually relaxing the areas of discomfort is a very effective way of treating them. So make sure that you feel like you are in a straight line. Make sure that the blocks are in the right place for your feet, that the bolster is in the right place underneath your knees. So we're just going to stay in a relatively brief restorative basic relaxation pose. Because after all, we've not long been lying on our back asleep anyway. So this is just to prepare the body and mind just to bring us into a state of relaxation, just giving ourselves permission to relax. This practice also does surprisingly burn calories, and often not that far off a typical yoga class, because relaxation requires effort. And so the act of unhooking the muscles, releasing the arms and the legs, requires some effort. And the body doesn't naturally relax. So consciously unhook the muscles so that they become soft. Just make sure that you feel comfortable and that you're allowing the body to completely rest into the floor. Observe how the body connects to the ground, how it connects to the equipment, the bolster and the blocks and the blanket. So surrender into the floor. You can cover your eyes or just close your eyes. Ideally, we do restorative yoga in a dark room, but first thing in the morning, I think it's okay to just keep your eyes closed rather than covering. You can cover your eyes if that helps you to relax. Just draw your attention into the soles of the feet, so that the skin and the muscle of the underside of the foot feels fleshy and tingly with consciousness. And then consciously relax the underside of the foot. Just let go of the muscles and the bones and the flesh and the skin. And draw your attention to the top of the foot. Again, so that the skin tingles with consciousness. And then let go of the bones and the muscles and the skin and the flesh. Relax in the top of the foot. Draw your focus into the shins. Feeling how the shin bones sit in the bed of the calf muscle. Feeling the skin over the shins, so that the skin and the muscle and the bones tingle with consciousness. And then gently allow the shins to completely relax, letting the shins just sit in the bed of the calf muscle. Draw your attention to the knees and into the fronts of the thighs and the backs of the thighs. Drawing your consciousness into your thighs and your knees, so that the skin and the muscle and the bones tingle with consciousness. And then allow the thighs to completely relax. Letting the fronts of the thighs sink into the backs of the thighs. And then draw your focus into the pelvis and the abdomen. So that the skin and the muscle and the bones tingle with consciousness. pelvis and the abdomen to relax. Almost as though the pelvis spreads out across the floor a little. The abdomen smooths across the skin. Draw your consciousness into the rib cage and the shoulders. Becoming conscious of the skin around the ribs, the muscles, the organs. And allow the muscles and the skin and the flesh to just completely relax around the ribs and around the diaphragm region and around the abdomen and around the shoulders. And then release your arms into the floor. The upper arms and the lower arms and the hands just completely release into the ground. And your neck and your head softening the skin around the skull, softening the skin around the neck, softening your facial expression, just feeling the muscles around the face and around the eyes. Completely relaxing the face and the skin around the skull, and releasing and relaxing the bones of the skull. And then just feel the entire body relaxed, almost as though it could float off the ground. It remains connected into the earth. Just this feeling of energetic lightness radiating from the bones and into the muscles, and into the organs. feet, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And then bend your knees. Have your feet on the bolster, feet apart, knees together, just resting your back into the floor. And then gently roll onto your right side. And then straighten out your top leg, come back up into a seated position, just sitting in cross legs. Just observing the lightness of your energy. Okay, so we're going to do some enlivening poses. So get your blanket and unfold it so that it's kind of a long, narrow blanket like that, and then fold it down the middle, and then fold it down the middle again. So you've got this long, thin little mini bolster. You can take the blocks away from your feet, you don't need those. And then you just lay this out along the mat. So we can do a little spinal lengthening pose. This is really nice. So you don't want to sit on the edge of the bolster. If you've got hemming on your blanket, have it at the head end rather than there, because it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable there. So when you're ready, we'll lengthen the spine along this little mini bolster. So you just lay yourself down, not too close to the bolster, to the rolled up blanket, but you lift the chest as you guide yourself down along the little mini bolster, and then roll up the end of the bolster to create a little pillow for your head. And then just adjust until it feels like your spine is being lengthened. So sometimes that requires a bit of movement in the bolster. Perhaps the bolster needs to be underneath your knees or underneath your calf muscles. If you get the bolster in the right place, you get this feeling of elongation in the spine. So just adjust the position of the bolster a few times just to maximize that sensation of length in the spine. Just allow the body to completely release into the floor. So as you know, now that we're into the sequence proper, I will speak less, leaving longer periods of silence so that you're not having to listen. You can just use the opportunity to relax. So as ever, if you don't feel comfortable completely, then the pose won't be effective. So adjust until you do feel comfortable. Nothing to be gained in just styling out discomfort. Okay, and then just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, and then bend your knees. And then gently roll yourself off the mini bolster, and then bring yourself up into cross legs. Just observe the energy along the spine. And then just unfold your blanket, and then just fold it up like you would do if you were going to prepare it for just to rest your head on it, like that. So this next pose is simple supported side bend. You use if you've got one, if you could use one of these oblong bolsters. If you don't have one of those, then you get your blanket just folded up like you would do if you were going to support it for your head, but then you fold that in half down the center, so you've got this kind of, so you've got the bolster that's like your head pillow, and then you fold that in half, and then that is going to go into the armpit chest. So where I put the bolster, if you haven't got a bolster, then you put that blanket down onto the floor. So you come down onto the floor like this, and that supports the armpit chest, and then you can release down like that. That feels nice and firm actually. So that is good for this. So for this, you might need a block for your head, and if you've got stiff shoulders, you might want an extra block for your hand. But you just lay with your knees bent, lengthening out the side ribs, and then bring the shoulder down onto the floor so that the armpit chest is really strongly supported by the bolster. This arm that's on the floor is just in a little right angle, just in a little relaxed right angle. And then you stretch the top arm over your ear. So then you just completely relax, breathing evenly into both lungs. So we'll feel like the lung closest to the floor is a little restricted by the bolster. Still aim to breathe evenly into both lungs. pose is really good for stiff shoulders. It's also really good for energising the chest, giving you really good energy for the day. So although you're relaxing, the bolster and the equipment just gives you a stretch. But there should be no effort involved. The equipment is doing the work for you. The only work is in finding your point of relaxation. And then bring the top arm back down onto the ribs, onto the hip. Push the bottom elbow firmly into the floor and then bring yourself up into cross legs. Just observe how you've released lots of energy around the chest. Just allowing that energy to just distribute. And then just come on to the other side. So just bend your knees, sit on the other hip, And then stretch yourself along, stretch the side ribs along that bolster, bring the shoulder onto the floor, rest the arm that's on the floor in a little right angle, resting your head on the block, and then just stretching the upper arm over your ear. And the same thing, just getting comfortable and then breathing evenly into both lungs. Aiming to just focus on relaxing the muscles. If external thoughts pop into your head, just acknowledge them and then just let them go in the same way that you let the muscles go. Okay, release the top arm back onto the hip. Push the bottom elbow into the floor so that you can bring yourself up into a seated position. Just sit in and cross legs for a moment, just observing the lightness of the energy that you've released through your practice so far. And then just come down to the floor. You can just remove all of the bolsters. Just come down into the reclining butterfly. So just let the feet fall apart. Just guide yourself down onto the floor. If your feet feel like they slip away, if you've got a belt handy, you can always just put the belt around the feet, and then whenever they slip away, you can just pull them back into position. Otherwise, just allow yourself to just surrender into the floor, feeling the openness of the hips. If it's uncomfortable in your hips, put blocks underneath your thighs. Just feel how the body becomes full of lightness. So although gravity is largely doing the work for you, you're still bringing in good energy to the body that we can carry around us for the day. If we're full of good energy, then we can cope with everything that happens to us during the day. Just fill the lungs fully. And as long as there are no heart conditions or reasons why you shouldn't hold your breath, just gently hold your breath at the top of the in-breath, just for a second or two. And then release with the out-breath. So that gentle hold just brings in, or allows more of the energy of the breath to absorb. Distributing that feeling of energetic lightness evenly throughout the body using the breath. to disturb yourself. Just draw your knees towards each other, have the feet apart, the knees together for a moment, just resting back into the floor. And then draw your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then roll onto your side, sit yourself up. And then just come into cross legs, sit on a lift if you need to. Just hold onto your knees. Just close your eyes and feel the energy of the body. And then use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness evenly down into the tips of the toes, into the tips of the fingers, and up into the top of the head. Using the breath to distribute your energy evenly. Just focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate in-breaths and out-breaths. Just maintaining the energy of the body through the breath. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together. Just draw your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. That good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the relaxation poses release. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. place the backs of your hands down toward your knees. Palms facing upwards, just connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, just a gesture of wisdom and peacefulness that you can carry into your practice. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy and given yourself good positive energy to put into your day. Thank you very much.